Okay, we'll call this meeting to order of the Cochrane Planning Commission at 6:31 on November 23rd. So the first item on the agenda is the agenda. And are there any amendments and errors or additions to the agenda as presented? Hi, Susan.
Hi, everyone. Just a quick note. I'm sorry I'm late. I got a new laptop last week and I can't seem to zoom in on it. So I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll just deal with this one thing with respect to the agenda. No amendments and additions to the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as circulated?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, Heather Moore, all in favor? Okay, Kara, will you be joining us by, will we be able to see you, or are you in a place where it's difficult for you with bandwidth? Could you put something in the chat and let us know? Okay, so just want to, this is the first meeting since the election, and I want to welcome Councillor Flowers to the CPC, and so very welcome to the CPC. Unfortunately, I only have this meeting and one more meeting, and so then I'm off the CPC because you can stay on the CPC for 6 years, and then it's time to give someone else a bit of an opportunity. So welcome, and I'm certainly glad to see you.
Oh, thank you. I have a huge learning curve ahead of me.
Yeah. So the other counselor that's staying on is Marnie Fedeko, and she's not able to attend today, but so those are the two counselors. I'm going to put you on the spot almost immediately, Susan. So in fact, I am going to put you on the spot right away. So first of all, welcome, Susan. Susan, the next thing on the agenda is we always have a council update. And just to kind of give you some background, the reason was that to give the CPC members a little bit of a broad idea of what's been going on, what's on the plate, what's new, what's arising, any issues. So since you've come back and back on council, is there anything that you'd like to share with us with respect to big issues or things that are coming up?
Just that we're in the middle of budgets right now, and it's a hard thing to go through with all the needs in the community. So there will be a tax increase. I don't know what it is yet, but Thursday we finish it off and we'll be determining how we should move forward. Yeah. But I think there is a resounding attitude that we are going to add a lot of new things and get on with it, because Cochrane, we've been holding back for so long. We're behind on so many things, and I understand planning is really picking up again, and we might have a little boom coming up here, so we need to get ready and be adequately staffed and ready to go. So that's the main thing. We also went to AUMA last week, and lots happening across the province. We made some good connections and met lots of new councillors and mayors, and heard Jason Kenney speak and Rachel Notley, and it was just really good to be back together in the room instead of doing the Zoom call.
So just a question, Susan. It seems to me that I don't know if there's been a hiatus. I don't know. It seems to me that the planning group has been going full tilt, even so, and what's been put aside. So can you kind of just give me a little bit of insight what's been put aside?
Well, I think it's just been really hard to keep the lights on. We haven't been able to try new things and get involved in new activities. I mean, we've got a lot going on, building the RCMP station and the transit hub and whatnot, but I know the town staff are stretched to the limit. They can't take on another thing. So, and we've got lots of ideas of things we'd like to get done in the next term. So we need to adequately staff, and our new CAO has lots of good ideas and things that he wants to get working on too. So we need to sort this all out.
Well, thank you. I always thought that the team, Mike, everybody should have rollerblades at the speed that you're moving. So I think just get them on and get rolling. So because you're going really, really fast.
Excuse me, Deb, may I ask a question to Councillor Flowers?
You may.
Councillor, I'd just like to know if you would know what the split is in taxes between residential and a commercial or retail space in Cochrane.
Sure, they've quoted the numbers quite a few times. What is it, 80-20, or maybe Mike knows more so than I do, but we need more industrial for sure. It's just really hard in Cochrane to attract a lot of business. We don't have a lot of land available. We're not near the airport or the main arteries, and so it's tricky. Mike, do you know the exact number?
We are actually 87-13, so 87% residential, 13% non-residential, and that includes the CRL area as well. So yeah, Councillor Farrow hit it on the head. We need more of the developers to bring online some of the land that's available. Southbow Landing hasn't done anything. They have land use. They've had it for 5 years. They haven't done anything. Greystone is going to start building, which is great in the internal area, that, big 150 acres in our downtown core that needs to be redeveloped. So we're seeing some of that come up, and we do need more land to come online in order to facilitate the growth in the industrial area. Manufacturing and warehouse is a big, we have very little. And we are seeing the retail side pick up with the redevelopment of the old Canadian Tire. So we are seeing some of that come to life, which is good. That'll create more assessment value for that property.
Mike, would you know what a healthy split is between residential and commercial for a town of our size?
I think we're close. I think you can't, 80-20 would be a really good split for a town of our size outside of a big city. I think any more than that, and you'd have to significantly increase and make a huge play for, annexing a big parcel and developing it exclusively for some sort of commercial or industrial. So, Calgary at one point in time was at 60-40, and now you see where that's going. They now have some big troubles in their downtown core. So we have to be careful about how much commercial we have versus how much residential, and the two play off each other. Not to go in length, but retail follows rooftops. So the more rooftops that we build, the more retail comes into play, and then the retailers see the commercial businesses come in because their people have something to do and live in here in a town with lots of services. So they all sort of follow suit. So we're trying to make a play to bring lots of workers into town and do better at maximizing and intensifying our downtown core. At least that's council's priority. So that's what we're trying to achieve for council.
So thanks, Mike. I seem to have frozen. Can you hear me still?
Yep.
Okay. I have a question with the downtown, with the building, and it's going up, and it looks like it's one story. I thought from previous pictures that it's 2 stories. Have we decided to just go with 1 floor, or is that just the way it's? I just assumed that it was 2 floors.
We had to scale it way back because of all the changes in the economy and the pandemic and everything. It was too risky to go with our original plan. So Mike can probably speak to better what all happened there, but it is just a single floor now.
Okay.
Yeah, we planned it as with the money that we had from the Green Chip funding and other sources. For the downsize, we have a 7,700 square foot single story building, and that is what we are building currently on the main site. And then the Tri-Sites Committee has visioned out plans for all the other for the site itself with other buildings, but we'll take that one step at a time as we strategize what's best and where the needs are and what we need people to do that. So we're hoping that we can get some hires in here that can strategize all these buildings and how they're going to be laid out and who's going to be in them and what are we going to achieve with them. So a little bit of work to do, but we'll get through budget and go from there.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments to Councillor Flowers?
I just wondered if you could introduce who else in the room. All I can see is the person speaking.
Oh, really? You can't see everybody else?
No, because I'm on my phone. It seems to work.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so from CPC, we have George Pathrath. And so he's waving. I don't know if you can see that. Say
No, I
something,
can't.
George, so she can see you. We have Adam Parsons. And we have, so say hello, Adam.
Hi, Councillor Flowers.
Hello.
Okay, so can you see him when he speaks?
Yes.
Good, okay. And next we have Carol Locke.
Good evening.
Hi, Carol.
So those are the 4 folks that are from the community.
Okay.
And then we have a number of the development people. And from the development people, we have Lisa Braun. Lisa, do you want to say hello? You have to unmute yourself.
Councillor Flowers.
Hello.
Okay. Danica Crosby. Oh, Heather, I forgot you. Sorry.
Hello, Council Flowers.
Yeah.
And there's one other person from the community, Heather Moore.
Hi there, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I got a lot to learn. Be patient with me.
Yeah, so I guess a little bit of background. So let me see. Heather has been on the CPC. This is the end of her 2nd year. We're coming up to the end of her 2nd year. George is at the end of his 1st year, right, George?
That is correct. And
That is
hello.
correct. Adam, this is the end of your 1st year coming up.
First year, yep. George and I are the newbies.
You're the newbies. And Kara will be the end of your 2nd year. She's nodding her head, but she's not speaking. So that'll be the end of the 2 years. So there's always a rotation. And so I will be leaving, and I think I'm the only one. So they'll be recruiting one more person to fill my place. And then they'll decide who will be chair at the next meeting, their first meeting in January.
Well, thank you for all the work you've done to date.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for joining us. Okay, so the next item, I'll see if my other screen will come on, but while we're doing this, the next thing is the adoption of the previous minutes, and we have 2 sets. So we have the minutes of October 20th, 2021. So are there any errors or omissions that any members noted on that set of minutes? If not, can we have a motion to approve the minutes as circulated?
I will put that motion forward.
Okay, so Mr. Pathrath, all in favor? Just a show of hands. Okay, carried unanimously. The second one is the minutes of November 17th, 2021, our 1-minute meeting. So I'm sure that there's no errors or omissions. So can I have a motion to approve that set of minutes?
Motion to approve.
Ms. Moore, all in favor? And carried unanimously. Thank you. So the next item on our agenda is the Development Office Report for the month of October 2021. So Mr. Corman.
Chair Spence, I'm ready to do the Development Officer's
You're
report.
good? Okay, thank you. Sorry, assumption on my part, my apologies. Okay.
No, sorry, I was muted. That was Nicole's job.
Okay. Ms. Tones.
Thank you. So to go through the items from the notices of decision, or the decisions that went out on development permits for the month of October, we have the 5 permits that CPC considered, one of which was appealed, and the hearing for that is actually tomorrow evening. That is development permit number 2021-135. That is the garden suite above the accessory building that was refused. So we don't know the decision from the SDAB on that yet, but we will send that out when we get it. A summary of the other types of approvals. There were 2 other accessory suites, but in the basements that were approved. There were 2 new accessory buildings or garages that were approved. 2 additions. One was for a school and one was an addition carport to an existing accessory building. There was 2 regular type variances that resulted from compliance process, 1 home-based business, and then there was 1 development permit that was a change of use for some existing units going from live work units to just dwelling units. So just removing the working portion. In total, there was 15 decisions, and comparatively to the year before, on November 11th, we had 191 development permit applications compared to last year was 139. And so that is up by 37.4%. And comparatively to 2 years ago was 166. So it's still up from that number, up 15.1% from 2019. As far as compliance applications, this year we have seen 764 compliance applications. The same date last year there was 434, and similar number the year before as well as 444. So that's a 76% increase from last year and 72% from the year before respectively. And I'm available for any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm trying not to, can you hear it going back and forth?
Yes.
Okay, I am going to cancel that one. Sorry.
I turned mine off. I hope it's not me causing it. I did make the Zoom work and now I turned the phone off.
Okay. No. Sorry, there's a little bit of technical here. Okay, I seem to be gone again.
We can hear you, but your video is frozen.
My video is frozen. Okay, well, is that okay? Or what would you like me to do?
That's a good question.
Is that okay? Because if I do the other one, then it seems to be echoing.
The sound seems to be better with the picture off, isn't it?
It does. Just give me one more second. I'll try it one more time and then we'll just go without looking at me, which is fine for me, but I don't know what legislation would say about that.
I'm sure it's fine. These are interesting times.
I think as long as you voice what your vote is during the voting portion, I think that this would work.
So I mean,
Yeah, there's 2 of you on.
I know. And one, I'm leaving this one. Okay, I'm back to black, which is fine. So we will continue on with me at black. All right, so thank you very much, Ms. Tomes. So we need a motion or sorry, are there any questions or anything you want to ask of Ms. Tomes and the Development Officer's report? No questions, no comments? No? Could we then have a motion to approve the Development Officer's report for the month of October 2021? Mr. Parsons, okay, all in favor? Show of hands, even mine's up. I know you can't see it, but it's carried and it's unanimous. So the next item is the development permits. And the first one is DP 2021-113. It's on lot 2, block 3, plan 001-1035, 325th Avenue. Okay, and who's presenting?
That would be me. So good evening. I'm presenting DP 2021-113. This application is for 2 backlit fascia signs and 2 freestanding signs. So the applicant is proposing to place 2 backlit signs on the existing building that's currently being renovated. This is on the old Canadian Tire building for reference. Additionally, there will be 2 new freestanding signs that are going to be placed within the parking lot. And these are going to be used as part of the curbside pickup program for the business. So the site location, as mentioned, it is the old Canadian Tire building on 325th Avenue. It is zoned commercial shopping center district, and it is an existing retail store. So this application is being brought forward tonight for 2 reasons. First is that backlit signs are a discretionary use within this district, as well as a variance is required for those freestanding signs. So under planning evaluation, we do look at the Western Heritage Design Guidelines, which asks that signs should be mounted directly on the front or side of the building and should be lit with classical light sources where available. Backlit signs are discouraged, but not necessarily prohibited in this district. So here's a more detailed site plan. So you can see that there's 2 smaller signs in the parking lot, and then it's going to be 1 sign on the front of the building and 1 sign on the back, about within that larger unit there. So under the land use bylaw, we do have a set of regulations for backlit signs. So the proposed signs do meet all the requirements of our land use bylaw. They will be restricted to the maximum 6,000 lumens, as well as they'll be dimmed or turned off completely outside of, at night. These signs are directed to the north and south. So they're facing directly into a commercial area as well as an industrial area. And they aren't, there should be no glare onto either the adjacent roadways or to the residential areas to the west. The signs are directed straight outwards and won't contribute to any upward lights. And they meet the requirements of the fascia signs, which limit how much of the building face can be covered. So we have some more detailed sign elevations for these 2 backlit signs. So this is the first one located on the north side of the building, and this will be facing the parking lot. All portions of the sign will be illuminated, but they will be restricted to that 6,000 lumens. Whereas the second sign is going to be placed on the back and is going to be facing Griffin Road. For reference, it is only the PetSmart sign that is part of this approval. The other signs are only there as kind of placeholders for reference. And as you can see, these are just some additional details regarding the signs, as well as how it's going to be backlit, as well as some electrical details. And this is for the back, or the south facing sign, facing Griffin Road. As you can see, it's a bit smaller. So the second set of signs are the 2 freestanding signs, which require variance. These signs are quite smaller than what you typically see, being around 2.13 meters and 1.83 meters in height for the 2 signs. So just around that 6-foot mark. As well as the one sign is 0.28 meters square and the other sign is 0.46 meters square. And typically under our bylaw, if these signs were under 0.1 meters square, there would be an exception as we would treat them as a directional sign. the same way that we permit either no parking signs or barrier-free parking stall signs. However, these signs are a bit larger than that and therefore require a permit. So the first variance is for the maximum number of freestanding signs on a property. There are currently 4 signs approved on this property. So there is first the major freestanding sign on the southwest corner. So this is the main pylon sign for the site, as well as there's 2 smaller freestanding signs within the drive-through for the restaurant on the property. However, both those freestanding signs are for the drive-through and are not directed outwards. Similarly, these 2 signs are, again, they're for the operation of the site and they aren't being used to advertise the site to the adjacent roadways. So the second variance is for the minimum setback between the signs. Typically, we require a 15-meter setback between 2 signs. However, they're proposing to have these signs be 0.3 meters apart from each other. These signs will be well above that 15-meter separation from either of the other freestanding signs. However, their proximity to each other is necessarily to facilitate the curbside pickup program. All right, so here are the 2 freestanding signs. So the first one is a taller, slim sign to indicate the parking stall, as well as a second sign will be located within the parking stall itself to give details about how to basically contact the business for the curbside pickup. So administration is recommending that the Cochrane Planning Commission approve development permit 2021-113 for 2 backlit signs and 2 freestanding signs with variances subject to the conditions in the report. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Nordquist. Because there's kind of a couple variances going on, I'm going to suggest we kind of deal with one at a time. So I think the first one is with respect to the freestanding signs. So as you stated, there's 4 already. 2 of them are to do with the drive-through on the property, yes? With the
That's correct.
with the new restaurant, I forget the name of it, but it's a chicken place. So 2 of those, right? And
yes, so that's specifically the menu board and just kind of the entrance sign to the drive-through.
Right, okay. And what other freestanding sign is there on that property?
So the other freestanding sign is the large pylon sign on the southwest corner. So this would be, again, this was the existing Canadian Tire sign on the property.
Okay, so can you just remind me if that came to CPC or is that just there because it was pre-existing? That sign.
That sign is pre-existing, but there is an application in to do some additions and changes to that sign.
Okay, so I'm just wondering before, sorry, as I speak on, do we have an idea of how many signs are going to come to CPC for that whole development?
I believe so. There is an application in right now for to change the existing pylon sign on that southwest corner to backlit sign, as well as an addition of another freestanding sign on the southeast corner of the property.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for taking my questions. Okay, so CPC members, what questions do you have of administration or of Adam with respect to the freestanding portion of the variance?
If I may ask, I guess, Deborah, you asked the right question about how many freestanding signs are going to be in total on this development. This application And the one for the previous for the restaurant, we're being hit in a piecemeal way about how many signs are going to be here. I know Walmart might have, Winners might have their own signs and Rexall might have theirs. Is there any way of knowing what the total standing signs would be? Right now, we're going to approve 7 or could be approving 7. Will we be approving 10, 11, 12? I sure would like to see the whole picture instead of being piecemealed by each of the applicant on this particular site. Is there anything we can do about that, Adam?
Through the chair, that's simply information we don't have, as the building was renovated to create multiple commercial retail spaces. And as those are filled by tenants, those tenants will have their individual needs. And not necessarily all those signs will require CPC. It's just in this case, those curbside pickup signs are larger than what our exemption would be for directional signs within a parking lot. Like these would be the same class of sign as like a no parking sign or as an accessible parking sign. They're just, in this specific case, they are going above our accepted sign size.
Okay. Is that sufficient, Mr. Pathrath? Okay. Councillor Flowers?
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I'm just curious, if you approve one, then you pretty well have to approve everything else that comes afterwards, unless it's bigger and brighter and something different. So we're setting a precedent, and is there anything that you can think of that people would complain about?
Do you want to respond, Mr. Nordquist?
Yeah, through the chair, just a couple points there. Because a variance is exercising the Cochrane Planning Commission's discretionary use, it doesn't necessarily set precedent. Any signs coming forward needs to be reviewed on their own merits. As we're still talking about the freestanding signs, in this case, I don't see anything objectionable about them. There are other businesses who have put up these similar kinds of signs for curbside pickup programs, and there has been basically little to no issue with them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So is there any other questions or comments, CPC, with respect to just the freestanding signs? If not, I guess there's a second component that they are closer than, the variance is also that they're closer than they should be. Is that the second part of that variance? Mr.
Yes,
Nord?
so these two signs are basically going to be located side by side. Again, just to help highlight that parking stall and then provide instructions once you're parked.
Okay. So any questions, comments, or concerns with respect to that? Okay. So the second part of the variance is with respect to backlit signs that are going to face north into the shopping center area and south onto Griffin Road. Am I correct, Mr. Nordquist?
Yes.
Okay. So members, do we have any comments with respect to that?
I guess I can start the conversation on that. I guess I have an objection to the backlit sign that faces south onto Griffin Road. I had the opportunity to drive around that whole downtown expansion area, and I would say that about 95% of those signs that are road facing rather than inward facing into parking lots are signs that are lit by your conventional classic light signs with gooseneck lighting. And I think that I would not approve, I would object to them having a neon or a backlit light and break that tradition that we have of keeping the Western Heritage Design guideline of no backlit lights in these types of applications. I think the committee, the CPC, has worked hard to have all the other businesses in that area conform to the classic lighting, and we should not be breaking the mold now for these signs.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pathrath. Anybody else before I comment? Ms. Moore?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, maybe Adam, you can clarify. Sometimes when these bigger chain box stores come in, they may have some requirements based on who they are. Like when we had some of the car dealerships come in and things, they had certain requirements that they had to meet. I would just want to be wary of what are their kind of preset corporate type of requirements in order to actually just have the building up. Does that make sense?
Heather, if I may partially answer that, in my drive around, I saw that Canadian Tire is a very good example. Canadian Tire on their buildings that face outside streets have the standard gooseneck lighting on their emblem, and they have the Canadian Tire backlit on inward facing the parking lot. And so does the Bank of Montreal, and so does so many other of the chain stores that are out there. And I don't think PetSmart is any different than they are, unless Adam has any other insight that I don't. I just go it from what I've seen out there. And
yeah, I don't know about all the banks and things like that, but I do also know that the Canadian Tires are separately dealer owned. So I think they have some flexibility. In any case, not to have a big debate or anything like that, but just to keep that in mind. That was just,
Yeah.
I definitely agree that we should keep continuity in how the businesses present themselves to the street, without discouraging businesses from coming to us for,
Okay, so yeah, thank you, Ms. Moore. I'm going to weigh in a little bit, Councillor Flowers, because this is your very first meeting. So to provide a bit of background and context, we've had a lot of discussion with respect to backlit signs and have tried to limit the impact of backlit signs within what would be called the heritage area or the downtown area, because we have a dark sky. I can't remember what the word is, not a ruling, but we do have a dark sky. The other thing is that the land use bylaw, the amended or the new land use bylaw, was to be presented in September. And I don't know what the final version is going to be and come out in September or come out in January. But I know that there's a lot of discussion with respect to ensuring that the major corridors are heritage or under heritage guidelines or heritage rules, so that there's a feeling of the heritage on all of the major corridors, of which Griffin would be. And so from my personal perspective, and it's just my personal perspective, I would hate to see us start to allow backlit signs on that particular corridor right now, especially when we have land use bylaw, new one hitting us very soon in 2022. So I know it's a kind of a timing thing. And I realize that they are making some effort with respect to reducing and the number of hours. And when we, just to go back, Heather, with respect to the Bank of Montreal, we weighed that one back and forth and absolutely they made some changes on us. We left 2 signs as was, but we also reduced the other one and went back to the gooseneck lighting and saying that that was sufficient. So there's a couple things kind of just to weigh in here, and everybody has their own ideas, but that's kind of the evolution of where we've come to. So a couple things: heritage guideline. We would like to keep the kind of the continuity of look and feel. And there's been lots of discussions and back and forth with respect to backlit signs over the period. And there has been some movement with respect to majors coming in. And yes, we want to see majors coming in. We don't want to discourage them by any stretch of the imagination, but we also want to protect Cochrane as we want Cochrane to be going forward. So that's my kind of long discussion with respect to that. I would like to hear from the other members.
Be able to separate the front from the back in the decision, or is it's going to be decided as a whole?
So through the chair, the application is for the 4 signs. However, if the commission wishes to see changes, they can, I believe it is option 3 in your report, where you provide direction for administration, and we can take that direction back to the applicant and then hopefully bring any revisions back at the next meeting.
Okay, is that, do you have any other follow-up questions, Mr. Parsons?
I just feel that the same way that George says, if we can keep consistency among what we're trying to do here, parking lot side is different than the road side.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with George.
And so for clarity perspective, you agree with what aspect, Ms. Locke?
That we should keep continuity with the backlit signage on that road.
Okay. Councillor Flowers, you know, new kid on the block. Would you like to comment? You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
There. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add except, is it going to really mess them up with the timelines? I know that some of these processes take so long. It's not going to change their mind about coming or anything?
Mr. Nordquist, do you have a comment with respect to that?
Through the chair, I am not, I don't think I can speak for the business itself. The applicant is a sign company putting it up. So
Oh, is it?
that is, again, that would be depending on their contract with the business. But yeah, I think it would still be appropriate if revisions are needed to bring it back to them.
So do they have to start a new application all over again or just alter it?
Through the chair, if it depends which option you choose. If you just wish to see some revisions, you would choose option 3 within the report. So you provide administration with direction, and we can take that back to the applicant. But you always do have the power to either approve or deny the permit, or approve it with additional conditions.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like the group has got some experience in making sure that we do this right. So I'm all with you on that.
So Mr. Nordquist, I actually don't see it up in front of me, but I believe it's option 2. If we want to make revisions, could someone that's got the paper in front of them, it is option 3 if we want to make revisions. Okay.
Through the chair, it's option 3.
It is option 3. Okay, I stand corrected. So is there any other discussion? And if not, is someone prepared to make a motion with respect to any of the options?
I've been jotting down something as we were talking here. I'll give it a go.
Okay.
CPC, Cochrane Planning Commission would like to go with, has decided to go with option 3 by providing direction to planning. CPC agrees that agrees to approve the application for the north-facing backlit sign and the 2 freestanding signs, but takes objection to the south-facing backlit sign as it does not conform to the Western Heritage Design Guideline. With over 90% compliance within the downtown expansion area, to no backlit sign, especially on street-facing buildings, providing an exception is not warranted when an alternate such as classic lighting source are available.
Okay, so thank you, George. So just one point of clarification. Are you suggesting neither one of them be backlit? Or just the one facing Griffin Road be that we look for the applicant to look for a light or a sign option?
I was hoping, I was trying to say that only the south-facing Griffin one have the gooseneck lighting, because if we do not approve the one north-facing, I think we have others in there, such as the Canadian Tire and others ones that are inward-facing into the parking lot that are already backlit, and we would not stand a chance if we were challenged on it.
Yeah. I don't believe that there's any other in that whole area that is backlit, though. If you look at Safeway or any of the other businesses that are within that shopping center, I don't think anybody else has a backlit sign. So, I mean, within the whole downtown area, yes, there are ones but just not in that particular shopping center. Okay, so George has put forward, do you have that in writing, George? Because that's something that we're going to have to provide to Lisa. So if someone would have a hand that's not under surgery, could type, or maybe I could. Do you have, we would have to take a minute to write it down because we do need to provide the right wording to Lisa. Okay.
So first clarification, Deborah, is you mentioned that you prefer that both backlit signs be altered to classical lighting sources.
Well, that is my personal preference, but we're voting here as a committee. So, right. So that is my personal preference.
So I guess I'm asking, are the other committee members agreeing with that?
I'll make a comment. I can understand the signage that faces the road because of the continuity issue of you know, the street facing parts of the building all kind of being congruent with each other. Now, on the other hand, on the flip side, no pun intended, you know, if you're opening a business and you're in a strip mall, I would expect that you would see, like, you know, vibrant signage and you know, you're going shopping, you're not out for stargazing, you know. I was always of the impression that our backlit signs, one of the biggest concerns with our backlit signs in the community is, does it interfere with the enjoyment of other people or interfere with like residential areas and things like that? So I don't see where this would interfere with that. I don't see where it would on the street side either. However, I do see the point of keeping everything consistent. So we don't end up with little businesses here and there with like big bright signs and drowning out the folks who have committed to, you know, the Western heritage look on the street side. So I personally don't have a problem with the backlit sign inside the strip mall. Yeah, that's I just expect, if I was going shopping, like I said, just vibrant, you know, colorful and bright.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moore. I'm just wondering, Mr. Pathrath, can you read out your motion again? So far I've typed out option 3.
Yeah, so the CPC approve option 3, providing direction to planning, period. CPC agrees agrees with the applicant for the north-facing backlit sign and a 2 freestanding sign, but takes objection to the south-facing sign as it does not conform to the Western Heritage Design Guidelines.
Okay, I'm typing with one hand here, so you have to speak slower. So I'm providing direction to planning, period. CPC agrees with the application for the south-facing.
Now, for the north-facing
Right, okay.
sign and the 2 freestanding signs,
North-facing signs.
and the 2 freestanding signs,
Okay,
but takes objection
okay,
to the south-facing backlit sign
okay,
as it does not conform to the Western Heritage Design Guideline, period.
okay,
With over 90% compliance within the downtown expansion area,
okay,
especially on street-facing building walls,
okay,
providing an exception is not warranted.
could we perhaps just add there, so we invite the applicant to come back with a alternative?
Yeah, I was going to finish that by saying, providing, says, so especially on north-facing walls, providing an exception is not warranted when an alternative such as classic light sources are available. And that tells them what we're looking for, which is classical light sources such as goosenecks.
Oh, so I got classic light, what?
Sources
Sources?
are available.
Okay, I'm gonna read that back with my bad typing, okay?
Mhm.
Option 3, so CPC decided, what's that word? Providing direction to planning. CPC agrees with the application for the north-facing signs and for the 2 freestanding signs, but takes objection to the south-facing backlit sign, as it does not conform with the Western Heritage Guidelines. With over 90% compliance with the downtown expansion area, especially on street-facing building walls, providing exception is not warranted when an alternative such as classic light sources are available.
Perfect.
Shoosh. All right. Okay, so any discussions or comments? We have an option or we have a motion on the floor. Okay, so no one has raised their hand. Just let me check the chat. Okay, there's nothing in the chat. With that in mind, so we have option 3. I'm assuming I don't have to read it again. I have the wording that I can provide to Lisa. So let's go to a vote. All in favor? Okay, and I'm opposed. So, okay. Now, if I just want to take a second, because I want to see if I can get this computer to work, if we could just take 1 second to see if I can get this to work, because it's quite annoying to not have a face, and then I'll shut this other one off. Okay, so it looks like that one. Okay, how is that? Is that better? Good. Okay, perfect. So sorry about that. I have no idea what was happening to that computer. Okay. So that was DP 2021113. The next one is DP 2021151. Lot 16 to 19, block 20, plan 1810624, 6274 Willow Green link for street-oriented townhomes and accessory buildings with variances. Okay, and presenting is?
That's me, Amanda.
Okay.
So, good evening, members of the Cochrane Planning Commission. This evening, I'm here to present DP. Oh, not present. Sorry, 1 second. I'm here to present DP 2021-151 for a decision in accordance with Section 3.1.2 of the Land Use Bylaw, as the application requires a variance over 10%. The development is for the construction of 4 street-oriented townhomes and accessory buildings at 62, 66, 70, and 72 Willow Green Link within the Willows community. The subject property is designated Residential Multi-Unit Dwelling District, or R3, where the purpose is to provide for a mix of bachelor, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom dwelling units in a variety of housing forms to a maximum height of 3 stories. Townhomes are listed as a permitted use in the district, and accessory buildings are listed as a discretionary use. This application aligns with Section 1.1.8, Diversity of Housing of the Municipal Development Plan, which states that Cochrane's goal is to ensure that housing is available to all, regardless of income, lifestyle, or life cycle. The development also aligns with Pathway 9 and 11 of the Cochrane Sustainability Plan. Pathway 9, everyone has a roof over their head, describes success as housing options that are diverse, accessible, safe, and affordable for all income levels. Pathway 11, wherever you are in Cochrane, you are close and connected, includes a target of increasing density within the 2009 footprint. This is the site plan for the development. 4 townhomes are proposed with 4 garages with lane access. The proposed development meets all requirements for the townhomes, including setbacks, building height, lot coverage, and parking, but requires a variance to the side yard setback of 1 garage and to the landscaping, which I'll go over in the next couple of slides. The proposed accessory buildings or garages meet all applicable bylaw requirements except for the side yard setback of the corner lot, which is circled in blue on the screen. The bylaw requires a side yard setback of 3 meters as the property is adjacent to a street, and a setback of 1.41 meters is proposed at the shortest distance, which is a 53% variance to the bylaw. However, due to the shape of the lot, the variance is only required in the southwest corner of the garage, as they are proposing a 3.14 4-meter setback on the southeast corner of the building. So just to help illustrate that on the slide, this is the southeast corner of the building and it's meeting the setback of 3.14. And this dotted line shows where the 3-meter setback would be in alignment with the property line. The proposed application is meeting the landscaping requirements for the R3 district, except for the number of shrubs as illustrated in the table. The application requires a 7.14% variance to reduce the number of shrubs provided from 70 to 65. The landscaping variance is proposed due to the fact that some portions of the property cannot accommodate trees or shrubs due to the utility right-of-way in the front yard and the overland drainage right-of-way in the rear yard, as well as to ensure future landowners can enjoy the amenity space provided. This is a site photo of the property. As you can tell, it is currently vacant. These are the proposed elevation drawings. The townhomes is the colored elevation in the top of the screen, and the garage elevations are at the bottom of the screen. The application was circulated for comments and no concerns were received from internal departments or external agencies. The notification sign was posted on the subject property and no calls or emails were received from the public. Administration has reviewed the application and determined it is in alignment with the town planning policies and meets all of the requirements of the land use bylaw, except for the previously noted variances. Administration is of the opinion that the proposed variances would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood, nor interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of the neighboring properties. As a result, administration is recommending option 1 in the report, that the application be approved with the noted conditions and advisory notes within the report. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you for the report, Ms. LeGros. Okay, so CPC members, do you have any questions or comments, anything to direct at Ms. LeGros? Quiet group tonight. Okay. So if there's no questions or comments, can you just remind me how many shrubs is it that they're reducing by?
To the chair, they are reducing it by 5. So the bylaw requires 70 and they're providing 65.
Okay.
Is there anything you can do to get them to make up for that in other ways, or?
So through the chair, before bringing the application to forward to the meeting, I did ask them if they could provide more shrubs on the property. And they said that they were fearful that if they put more shrubs, that it would clutter the space and the landowners wouldn't be able to enjoy the space as much and it would just be overrun with shrubs. But that is their opinion. And also there is the utility right-of-way in the front yard and overland drainage right-of-way in the back that does limit a lot of the space on the property where they can't put anything.
65 shrubs is still quite a few.
Can you remind me who remains responsible for those shrubs long-term when the development is complete and the developer is gone? Then who's responsible for those shrubs? Is it town? Is it the town, or is it the landowner?
Through to the chair, the responsibility would be on the landowners once the developers have passed all of their landscaping inspections with the town. So typically within 2 years of construction, it would be the landowner's responsibility.
Okay. So any other questions or comments? If there are not, could one of the members propose an option? Ms. Locke?
Yeah, I'd like to propose option 1.
Okay, can you read it out, please?
That the Cochrane Plan Commission approved development permit 2021-151 for street oriented townhomes and accessory building with a variance of lots 16 to 19, block 20, plan 181. I need to read the rest, I guess.
Okay, it's very long. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, so if there's no other questions or comments, can we raise the vote for option 1 to approve DP 2021-155? All in favor? And opposed, it's unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.
And so the next one is DP 2021. Oh, sorry, it's 151 was the one that we were on previously. So 155 is an accessory suite with variance to regulation.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. There you go. The development permit being presented is for an accessory suite with a variance to the maximum percentage permitted for the gross floor area of the principal dwelling at 26 Glenpatrick Road. The property is zoned residential, single detached dwelling district R1, where accessory suites are listed as a discretionary use. The land use bylaw permits the development officer to have the authority to make a decision. However, as the applicant requires a variance greater than 10%, the application must be referred to the Cochrane Planning Commission for consideration. The land use bylaw prescribes that accessory suites shall not exceed 40% of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling. The single family dwelling has a total gross floor area of 204.10 meters squared, and the applicant is proposing a 2-bedroom suite for a total of 95.26 meters squared for a variance of 47% of the permitted gross floor area of the principal dwelling. The applicant is required to provide a total of 4 parking stalls on site, 2 for the principal dwelling and 2 for the 2-bedroom accessory suite. Here are some photos of the rear property of 26 Glenpatrick Drive. When evaluating accessory suites, the Development Authority may consider the cumulative impacts resulting from clustering of accessory suites, garden suites, and home-based businesses, and bed and breakfasts. There are no approved accessory suites within the block or adjacent to the block face. There are 2 home-based businesses approved on the southern end of the adjacent block face of Glenpatrick Road. As such, administration has no concerns with the cumulative impact. The proposed accessory suite aligns with the Cochrane Sustainability Plan, Pathways 9 and 11. Developing secondary suite dwelling units within an existing parcel is an effective and appropriate way of increasing density within an existing community's footprint. The application meets all the requirements of the land use bylaw for accessory suites, except for the variance in prescribed calculation of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling. The applicant posted the development notification on the property on October the 14th. It was also circulated to internal departments and external agencies for comment, and no concerns were received. Administration supports the application for the accessory suite with variance to the permitted gross floor area of the principal dwelling, as it would not unduly interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring properties, and is recommending option 1 with the conditions outlined in your report. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Cosby. I believe that Ms. Moore has a comment.
Yeah, so in reviewing this, it appears to me that they want to do a suite downstairs in the basement. And the only reason why there needs to be a variance is because they're going to use the whole basement. The basement is slightly larger than the footprint upstairs. I think that's the only reason why there is a variance. I don't think that there would be anything useful in denying the application or making them, make it smaller by any means. It's not going to make it any more useful downstairs for them. So I personally don't have a problem with this application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moore. Oh, Mr. Pathrath?
Yeah, I had a bit of a hard time understanding the drawings, and it wasn't until Heather mentioned it that it's actually going in a basement. I didn't know where it was going. So I have no problem with this application either. They're adding 2 extra parkings in the back. Is this what that drawing says, that with those blue markings that they have?
Yeah, so they're gonna, looks like they're gonna move the fence, back up the fence and put a parking pad next to the single car garage.
Yeah, maybe you could pull up the picture again, Ms. Cosby, because I certainly was unclear as to where this suite was going. I thought that it was a garden suite. I thought it was on the ground. I didn't realize that it was under the basement.
Sure, I can certainly do that.
So can you tell us, how is the basement larger than the rest of the building?
The layout of the house is almost like a 4-level split on that, I believe. And let me just pull the floor plan up here. So this is the floor plan of the basement that they've got going on there. So they've got the kitchen area, the 1 bedroom here, the furnace room, the bathroom, the 2nd bedroom, and then the living room here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the basement area actually totals 95.28 metered squared.
Wouldn't the 2nd story be right on top of that? I'm just wondering how it can be larger.
Let me just pull my flats here.
So I may have read that wrong, but they're pretty close.
Yeah, so does not exceed 40% of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling. So the land use bylaw requirement is of that would be the 81.64 metered squared. That would be the 40%. And what is being proposed is the 95.26. So all those 2 numbers there basically tell you is that 40% of the house would have been the 81.64. And they are 95.26.
Would you mind going back to the previous picture, Ms. Cosby? Just to kind of get it clear in my head, because I really did have, not that one, the one with the garage and the...
This one here?
Yes, that one. So what is the pink? The
pink
pink
is
and the
where the
purple.
these ones here, where I'm
So-
closer.
There's 2 purple and there's pink. So what are those?
Those are where the parking stalls will be for the accessory suite.
Okay. And then the pink is the what's currently existing
sorry.
for parking?
Sorry, the pink here.
Yes.
This is just
That's the back deck.
I believe the pink is just kind of like a deck area that they have on site.
Okay. And then what is the square that's directly adjacent to the pink, between the pink and the garage? That square there.
This part here,
Yes.
that's just the amenity grassed area there.
Okay. And then there's a walkway and all the rest of that is grassed?
Yes. So you can see that through the site photo here. So there's the detached garage that's right here to the west of that, right? And then that pink area, there's the deck right there where the pink area would be shown on the site plan.
Okay. Thank you. That's much clearer than it was before. I was not clear at all. So are there other questions and comments? Questions for clarification? No? Okay, so if there's no other questions or comments, could a member propose an option, please?
I move that the commission approves option 1 to approve the accessory suite with its variance.
Okay, thank you. So opportunity for any other questions or comments?
Looks like a great addition for affordable housing to me.
Thank you, Ms. Flowers. Okay, so that being the case, if there's no other questions or comments, can we go for vote? Take your vote, all in favor? And it's carried and it's unanimous. Okay, the next development permit is development permit 2021163. And it is an addition to office retail with variance to parking.
Yeah, so that again is my file as well. So this development permit is being presented for an addition to expand the office/retail space and request a variance to the parking located at 612 2nd Street West. The property is zoned Central Business District where office and retail stores are listed as a permitted use. The applicant requires a variance to the parking greater than 10%. And as such, the applicant must be referred to the Cochrane Planning Commission for consideration. The applicant plans to extend the basement into the rear property and add a second story for an additional 327.8 meters squared of office/retail space. The increased square footage requires the applicant to provide additional parking on site. Since this cannot be accommodated, the applicant is requesting a variance from 13 parking stalls to 5, which is the maximum number of parking that can be provided for on site. Here are the building elevations for the front, side, and rear of the property. The floor plans for the building on the main and the second floor. And this is the front yard view of the existing property as it is right now and the parking area. These pictures show the existing rear yard of the property looking north. And these are more rear yard pictures looking south. And this is where the addition and stuff will be on towards the back of this property. This is the rear yard looking east where the addition will be constructed. The side yard on the west side of the property looking south. Planning has reviewed the application with the Western Heritage Design Guidelines, which recognizes the importance of Cochrane's heritage in creating its unique sense of place and strategic advantages. Highway commercial areas shape the visual impact and attractiveness to local residents and provide a destination for visitors. The addition adheres to a modern approach and includes elements such as gooseneck lighting, flat roof line combined with a gabled roof, the wooden canopy over the entrance of the retail space, and incorporating the vertical siding and masonry blocks. The application has also been reviewed with the land use bylaw and the CB district, where offices and retail is prescribed as a permitted use. The addition meets the rear and side yard setbacks, but the applicant requires a variance in the number of parking stalls from 13 to 5. The application was circulated to internal departments and external agencies for comment, and no concerns were noted. Administration is in support of the application, and as it would not unduly interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of the neighboring properties, and is recommending option 1 with conditions outlined in your report. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cosby. Okay, CPC, what questions do you have? Ms. Flowers? Councillor Flowers?
Is that an unusual drop in parking stalls? It seems like quite an exemption. And then where will those people park? Will they not be irritating the neighbors trying to find parking spots and causing them difficulties?
I'm just going to share my screen again. So through the chair, as you can see, the parking that is currently on site only really allowed for 3 parking stalls on this property. And they are going to be able to fit in 5 parking stalls. The future plan for this whole area will at some point include part of the 1A project that's upgrading there will include some parking right here as well. Now, although that wouldn't be designated for a property like at 612 Second Street, but it would provide parking for basically along all those businesses that are along there. So it is a potential, and I don't know what the timeline is for this parking that is looking to be proposed at some point in time.
It must be by next year, I would think, because the project's supposed to be finished after next year. It just seems like quite a drop with retail space, but they must be confident that it will be enough, I guess.
So I have a question on that note, Ms. Cosby. So looking at that picture right there, so it looks like there's about 10 parking stalls along the, whatever you call it, at the 1A. It's not on the 1A, but it's on a side road onto the 1A. When that plan was developed, what is the intention for those parking stalls? Was it for visitors, or what was the plan for those stalls?
So to the chair, I can't confirm what those parking stalls are. I mean, they would just be public parking stalls, would be my guess on that, because they're not on private property. But I think that it was felt that there was a need to provide additional parking in there. All those residents that are along Second Street were at one point in time residential properties. So they have been redeveloped over the years, and they just can't honestly accommodate the parking requirements that are in the current land use bylaw. None of them will be able to meet the parking requirements that are to our current standards.
Okay, and I know that there will be some discussion when the new land use bylaw comes forward with respect to perhaps variable parking, and I do not know which way that's going to go. So a question I have though, they're essentially tripling their floor plan, would you say, their square footage?
So they will be adding, I'll show the slide here. So this shows on the top slide here, the extent of the addition on there. So this would be the current building right now, which is the front part of that on the floor plan there, which says the main floor plan. And then the extent of the addition is towards the back here. So yes, they are pretty much doubling the space on the property.
Yeah, it looks like it's tripling almost if you look at from what's on the front to the back. And I would like to comment that this is a wonderful design. I mean, I really appreciate the applicant and the the design that they're going to go forward in their attention and adherence to the Western guidelines. I'd really like to applaud them for that. Can we go back to the road though that is going to be proposed with the upgrade of Highway 1A? What my concern is that I am concerned that people would be backing up onto that new piece that we're developing. Like, because of the way it is, people would have to go in front ways and then have to back up onto that road in order to get off the property. Am I understanding that correctly? So tell me if I was to, well, first of all, they're tripling. So how many employees do they expect to have? That would be one thing. And then the second part is how would vehicles get on and off that property?
Okay, so to the chair, planning does not look at taking into account how many employees a development or a business has. We can only look at what the square footage is and base those calculations on what the parking requirements are in the land use bylaw. So in this case, it's 1 stall per 37 meters squared. In regards to the parking on the Second Street, yes, you're right. And that's not going to be whether it's part of this part of Second Street over here or the properties that are going to be adjacent to the east of that. They're all going to be the same. You're going to have to drive into the availability parking that's going to be in front of the property. And then when you want to exit the property, then you are going to have to back out onto Second Street and then exit to the west out onto Second Street there.
So will that be problematic with respect to traffic flow? Oh, I have hands up, so I'll, who had their hands up first? Mr. Pathrath? Could you unmute yourself? You're still muted.
I think Heather had her hands up before I did,
Oh, well,
but I'll
sorry.
manage here. I think my comments on this is that these particular properties are in a unique situation. And I think we have to be considerate of that. I like what's being developed there. I think there will be more development as it goes forward. This is an anomaly, this particular Second Street, the way it has developed and sort of blocked off from the rest of the downtown by 1A. But we do have Fifth Avenue coming there with pedestrian crossing that allow people to walk and go into that area, whether it's a Vinestone or whatever retail they're putting in there. So I have not, especially seeing the additional 10 general use parking spots in that area, I think we should go ahead and approve this application. I think it's the best they could do in a tough design situation without having to go to underground parking, which will just, it's prohibitive, the cost for the size of the lots that are there. And I think we're going to be facing this dilemma if the other properties to the west of the applicant start being redeveloped. So we have to be cognizant that this, I consider this an anomaly, and we have to be flexible in how we apply this. And I'm for this development.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pathrath. Who was next? Ms. Moore?
I couldn't have said it better myself, George. I think that we need to encourage the remodeling of this area and reconstruction and revitalization. I think that no offense to anybody. I think it's kind of an oxymoron to want to encourage pedestrian types of traffic and then at the same time, hold standards as to how many parking spots we have. And I'd like to also remind everybody, like Deb said, the new land use bylaw actually allows for the person building and the town to come together to decide what's adequate for their specific needs. So there's not going to be, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not going to be like that per square meter ratio anymore. So I think since we're moving in that direction, and since we have somebody who's willing to invest what looks like quite a high dollar amount into our commercial area there, I think we should support that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Morris. And Councillor Flowers?
Well, thank you. I agree with everything that's been said, really. I love the idea of people walking over there. I've just always hated parking at that building, even up till now. So I just wonder, is this an opportunity where you go and talk to the neighbors, or do they have any say at all?
Ms. Cosby?
Oh, yeah, so to the chair, they have expressed some interest that they may talk to the adjacent neighbors about doing some shared parking agreement. But at this point in time, they haven't solidified anything. So, I mean, I guess if that's something that, Cochrane Planning Commission wants to be able to see, then I don't know, I guess we could, try to look at that. Planning didn't have any issues necessarily with the parking. I mean, I know it is a variance from 13 to 5 parking stalls, but in light of the location of where this property is, and taking into account the unique situation that they're in, and the proposed parking that is going to be adjacent to that, we felt that we were able to support the application.
Yeah, my question was more around, do the neighbors know what's happening? Did they get a chance to voice their concerns or appreciation for it?
Okay, yeah, so I can answer that too. So through the chair, we don't actually physically send letters out to the adjacent landowners. Currently, this business owner is already in Vinestone, which is directly to the east of this property. So I'm assuming that they are aware of that. There is a notice of development that has been put on the property. So anybody driving down that street would be able to see the great big orange sign. It was a 2x2 sign that was put on the deck of the railing of that. So they definitely would see that. And two, if CPC does approve this, the adjacent landowners will be advised of the notice of decision that it was approved. And I guess if anybody had any strong concerns with the variance of the parking or any other condition for that matter, they could potentially appeal the decision, and then it would be heard by the SDAB.
Okay, thanks. I could support it.
Yeah. And I absolutely hear what you're saying, Ms. Cosby. One question I have on the triangular property, the last one that's to the west towards the mountains. Is that town property there? Yes, where your arrow is there. Is that town property?
I'd have to, I can't confirm that right now because I don't have my GIS. I'm guessing it is. This is a pathway that goes up to Cochrane Heights.
Oh, okay. So there may be an opportunity to, I don't know, propose parking or something in the future. My only concern, and I hear that everybody is pro this, and I'm pro this too. I think it's human behavior to see the sign and think it's about the building and not thinking about the parking. And so I'm a little bit of, it would be nice for the landowners to sit down and think about the consequences of parking in this before we approve it. But that would be one option we could do. Otherwise, there seems to be, everyone is voicing support for this. So.
Through the chair, I just would like to say that if somebody was going in to read the orange sign that was posted on the property that Danica mentioned, it does specifically point out the variance to the parking. So like you said, if you see it from a distance, I understand what you're saying about applying it to the building. But if you were concerned about the development and you went up and read the sign, it does point that out for you. So just to let you know that.
Yeah, no, I certainly appreciate that. So just human behavior, they tend to not do that. But okay, so with respect to the comments, any other comments, Mr. Pathrath?
No, sorry.
Okay.
Put a motion forward.
Motion forward. Okay. Are you prepared to put a motion on the floor?
I am. That the Cochrane Planning Commission approved development permit 2021-163 for the addition to office retail with variance to parking lot at lot 4.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, can we go to vote? All in favor? And opposed? It is carried. It's unanimous. Okay, so the final development permit for today is 2021180 with a freestanding sign with variance for number of signs.
Good evening, Cochrane Planning Commission members. We're down to our last application for this evening. And can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. So I'm here this evening to present to you DP number 2021-180 for a freestanding sign. This applicant is proposing to install one freestanding sign in the parking area that is to direct customers to the EV charging stations or the electronic vehicles charging stations. Freestanding signs are a permitted use within the CR or the commercial residential mixed use district. The proposed sign requires 100% variance for the number of freestanding signs on the property, and as such is being brought before the CPC for a decision. And you'll remember this site because you saw it last meeting in October for 10 Fireside Gate. As I mentioned, the commercial residential mixed use district is the one that is applied to this site. There's an existing gas station with restaurant and drive-through as well. As I said, freestanding signs are permitted use, and the variances to the total number of freestanding signs on the site. The Western Heritage Design Guidelines provides for some general material suggestions, but the proposed signs are for painted metal sign faces to be mounted on metal posts. The proposed signs are consistent with the minimal nature of a parking sign, leaving the emphasis of the treatment for the principal building for the Western Heritage Design elements. These signs meet all of the other freestanding sign regulations, other for the number of freestanding signs on the property. So as you probably remember, the 2 freestanding signs in the green stars were recently approved by CPC to replace the existing freestanding signs that were installed in 2012 that were for the menu boards for the Tim Hortons. The other existing freestanding sign is the main shell sign with the gas price and the general site information that I'm sure you've all seen from Highway 22, located by the Blue Star. All 3 of these signs were originally approved as part of the development site plan originally in 2012. And just the green ones most recently in the October meeting received an upgrade. The new proposed sign location is outlined in red, just south of the Blue Star, the existing freestanding sign. Here is a closer look at the parking area with the electronic vehicle charging stations. So instead of having 2 signs for each charging station, they're just proposing the 1 sign, and 2 existing freestanding, 2 existing trees, but that were not quite mature, are being relocated to in the same area, but just a little bit further apart in order to accommodate the charging station and the utility installation for the charging station itself. The new proposed sign here is 15 meters away from the existing freestanding sign. And as you can see, there's going to be some paintings on the asphalt as well, but that's kind of just on the site itself, and we have no regulations for things like that. This is the proposed sign elevation. As you can see, it's not nearly as tall as any other existing freestanding sign on the site, but they are trying to draw attention because it is off to the side, and it is kind of tucked in behind where the community, like the community entrance sign for Fireside is. So they wanted to make sure that those EV drivers would be able to navigate their way to these signs, as opposed to the typical gas station charge, like fuel bays that they have on the site. So the reason that it's 100% variance is because of those other 3 signs. This would make it the 4th freestanding sign on the property. But as mentioned, the other two of the 3 are menu boards, and then this one is a much smaller, non-illuminated, facing inward to the site. And oh, I'll just go back for a moment. This is the back of the sign. So the portion of the sign that faces Highway 2, or kind of, there's some bushes and trees as well kind of in the way. But this is the sign that faces outside of this site, and this is the side that faces into the interior of the site. So with that, we reviewed the application and determined that it meets all of the requirements for freestanding signs, except for the variance noted about the number of signs on the site. And administration is of the opinion that the proposed application would not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood, nor interfere with the use or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of the neighboring properties. As a result, administration is recommending option 1 to CPC, that the application be approved with the noted conditions and advisory notes. And I am available for any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jones. Okay, CPC, any questions or comments with respect to this development application? Okay, I only have one. It's not backlit, is it?
No. Through the chair, it is not backlit. It is a painted metal face
Sorry,
sign.
just had to ask.
I know, it's okay.
Okay, this seems to be pretty straightforward. If there's no questions or comments, could we have a motion on the floor? Mr. Parsons?
I move that the Cochrane Planning Commission approve development permit 2021-180 for a freestanding sign at Lot 1, Block 8, Plan 1310088 at 10 Fireside Gate, subject to the following conditions that are listed in the recommendation.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, and any other questions or comments? If not, I will call a vote. All in favor? And opposed is unanimous. And that's the last development permit for tonight. I did forget one thing at the beginning, and that was we're having this meeting tonight because of not meeting quorum with the last meeting. Just like to remind all members, if you can, to try to put forward a notice 48 hours ahead about whether or not you can attend the meeting, so we have the ability to plan better for it. And I'm looking at myself too. I didn't know with my surgery that I wouldn't be able to attend either. So just as a reminder. The next meeting is Wednesday, December 15th at 6:30 p.m. And can I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, everybody. Ms. Moore. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, say motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Okay.